Thank you for attending today's session. My name is Patrick Merkel with Oracle Applications User Group. Welcome to today's session, Ask the Expert for Collaborate 16. Before we get started, we'd like to go over a couple housekeeping items. First, everyone will be on mute throughout the presentation. You can type your questions into the question box in your control panel or raise your hand and we will unmute you to ask your question. We are recording the session and will be available online on our website shortly. So without further ado, we'd like to go ahead and introduce our presenters. I would like to first introduce Melissa Sider, our conference chair for 2016. Melissa, want to give a little background about yourself?
Sure, thank you so much, Patrick. I'm Melissa Sider. I am your conference chair for Collaborate 2016, and I was the conference chair last year for 2015 as well. In addition to that, I have played a role as an agenda chair or co-chair for a number of years, I think maybe even going back farther than Patrick has represented on this sheet to about 2008. So I've been a member of a variety of committees throughout my career with the OAUG, and including currently sitting on the Meetings and Conferences Committee.
Wonderful, thank you. And next we'll introduce Kaberi Nayak, our agenda chair for Collaborate 16. Kaberi?
Thank you, Patrick. My name is Kaberi Nayak, and as you have seen, I'm the agenda chair for Collaborate from 2013 onwards, and I have also been an OAUG board member for 2012 and 13. And I've been volunteering in a lot of committees. I've been co-chair for OAUG Education Committee. I've been on the GeoSig Committee and Customer Council. A lot of committees volunteered in different forms, and I'm also active in IOUG and OAUG. We are a user member since 1999 of OAUG. First of all, I want to thank everybody to take the time and join us for this webinar.
Wonderful, thanks, Kaberi. And with Kaberi, we do have Alyssa Johnson. She unfortunately is not able to participate today, but we do have Alyssa Johnson as a agenda co-chair working with Kaberi and is part of our OAUG education team and a frequent presenter for OAUG events. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk next about our paper selection process. As we present this event, it does take a lot of time and a lot of energy by our staff and volunteers to get everything up and running. So we do start, well in advance, typically 9 to 10 months. First, we work with it's called the SEC, the Strategic Education Council, that works to finalize the specific tracks for each year. And from those tracks, we work with our agenda chairs, Elisa and Kaberi, as well as Melissa Sider as a conference chair, to create a wish list. These are topics and tracks, topics that we are looking to have users and associates present at Collaborate. And it can be, it's a wide variety, and that is listed on our website. I will pull that up shortly so you can see that. From there, we do open the call for papers. It opened on August 25th, so we are a couple weeks into it, so you still do have time. From there, as part of, to ensure that we are getting, what our users want, what attendees want, we do open to voters, and these voters help select which sessions that we are going to be presenting. And so they have an input for all OAUG members. Once from there, we still go through the submission process, and the paper process will close on November 6th. And it's a Friday this year, so just a few more weeks. You still have time. Once we close, we then will perform a track authentication, just ensuring that all submissions go through the correct track and that they're aligning with what they should be. After that, we do our voting process, and all the voters that participated, all OAUG members that have signed up, do have a chance to go in and rank all the submissions and say which ones that they would like to see accepted and presented at Collaborate. Based on that, we work with the agenda chairs and to do our room builds, to schedule, select our sessions, and to select our final presentations. And then as part of that, we do our room builds to talk about scheduling, what days, and from there, we finalize our agenda. Once we finalize the agenda, we then send speaker notifications out, which this year will be the week of November 30th, so right after the Thanksgiving holiday. And then getting on into the new year, we do start working into the finalizing our schedules, working with the presenters on their presentations. And the week of February 29th is when all accepted presentations are due. And then we get into the Collaborate 16 event on April 10th through the 14th in 2016. So as you can see, it's a fairly extensive process, but this does ensure that we are selecting content that you as attendees and presenters want to see at the event. All right, so we'll continue on here. So I'll have Kaberi talk about some of the tips and tricks for success in submitting your presentation. Kaberi?
Yep, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, we're basically suggesting some tips and tricks to help you how to succeed in terms of submitting your paper and any help you might need. So the first thing is to make sure that you start with a solid idea, not too narrow, a broad appeal, and sometimes it's better to go through the wish list when available. It is actually under drop-down list when you submit a paper, so you can see what are the topics that are hot for 2016 Collaborate, and you can pick from there an idea and build it as a solid idea. And always seek some input and guidance from your peers who always can help you streamline the process and solidify the idea you came up with. Submit early. Don't wait for the last minute, because you can submit early and as often as you want. There is no limitation, so you can submit as many times as you want. Create a catchy descriptive title, because that's what people get to see first, and it's the first impression, based on how you write your title. That's going to catch a lot of people. Okay, I really like this title, I'm going to attend it. That's how attractive it should be. So be a little creative in creating a catchy descriptive title. If you need help, always seek guidance from the peers. Grammar counts. Be sure to proofread, because if you submit something with grammatical mistakes, obviously that turns people off immediately. So it's basically a good idea to make sure that there are no grammatical mistakes or something that will turn off immediately people and say, okay, if somebody cannot write the title properly, how are they going to write the paper? So moving on, co-present with others. That's a suggestion. It's always good to give the user a top billing. So if make the user company your primary presenter, and then you can co-present with them, helping them to come up and present. So once again, submit early, submit as often as you want until the deadline, but don't wait till the night before the deadline.
Wonderful, thanks, Kaberi. And we are always here to help. If you do have questions, we'll put some contact information up in 1 or 2 slides coming up. But feel free to ask questions if you need help defining your session, or just some thoughts. Feel free to email us. We'll do what we can, and I'm happy to help. Next is our paper submission dates and deadlines. November 6th is when the call will close, and from there, that's when we'll start and do all our review and opening to the voting. The week of November 30th for all accepted presentations as well as the declines, we will send out the week of November 30th. For those presentations that are accepted, the week of February 29th, we will send, all presentations are actually due using our presentation submission system. And as I mentioned, if you do have questions, you're welcome to email me directly. Again, my name is Patrick Merkel, the Education Manager at pmerkel@oaug.org, and happy to help answer any questions. All right, so the next, we would like to, at this time, open it up for any questions for our attendees that are on. It can be anything big or small, but want to hear from you. Do you have any questions at this time? You can type them into the question box in your control panel or raise your hand and I will unmute you so you can ask your question.
Patrick, it's Melissa. I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. What happens if I've never presented before? Can I still submit a topic idea?
You can still submit a topic. We are always looking for new presenters each year, and we would help you work with your presentation skills. If you want to have help or some tricks, feel free to reach out to anybody on this. Patrick, myself, Kaberi, or Melissa will help kind of craft in some tips and tricks for actually how to present. But we are always looking for new presenters, new topic ideas, and fresh content. All right, we do have a question here. All right. So the question is how long and how many slides should a typical presentation last or be? Melissa Kaberi, you want to answer that question?
Sure, I'll take this one. So really, we're asking you to fill a 45-minute time slot, and we want there to be a little bit of time for questions and answers. And just so that everybody is aware, we do actually double check before we send out your free registration code. We do double check your PowerPoint presentations and your white papers to make sure that there is substance to them, and that it's not just an empty shell with 5 or 6 slides. In general, somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 25 slides is probably right about the right number. I remember a few years we had people with over 100 slides in a deck, and we were all like, how's that person going to get through 100 slides in 45 minutes? That's a little bit of overkill. But as many slides as you need to get your point across. When it comes to the development of your PowerPoint slides, the more engaging you can be, the more graphical you can be to help people understand things, and the less you're reading off of your slides with tiny little words, the more well-received those presentations are. But generally somewhere, around 20, 25 slides is pretty much a good average for what we see.
Correct.
Is there another part of that question, Patrick?
That's the full question.
Okay. I do see another question out here, Patrick, that you may not see, which is, do I need to be an OAUG member to present?
You do not need to be an OAUG member to present. We do give priority to OAUG members as far as the selection, but you do not need to be an OAUG member. So feel free to submit. We are always taking suggestions and looking for experiences, both user and associates. So feel free to submit, and as Kaberi said, submit often. We are looking for content. Right.
Now, when you say, just to clarify, when you say submit often, please don't submit the same paper idea over and over and over again, because we will only consider that as one submission. What we're looking for are multiple ideas. We have over 2,000 submissions every year for presentation slots, and we select less than 500. So somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 in 4 presentations are selected. So if you are submitting one presentation, you have a 25% chance, just on average, of having your paper selected. However, if you submit 4 papers, you have dramatically increased your the likelihood that you will have a paper selected from Collaborate. And what we're looking for are variations on, on a topic. Maybe you are an expert in one particular Oracle module, but there are multiple facets about that may interest people. And I think another thing that has come up at other meetings like this is that don't discount what you have to say as maybe too simple or too basic. There are a lot of people who are now where you once were as a new user, as a someone who's learning something that may be a little bit outside your comfort zone, and if there's something that you or your organization has done that is interesting or different, certainly we want to hear about it, or even if it's mundane, because probably if you've had an experience and learned from it, other people will too. Sorry, that was a long answer to your question, Patrick.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for explaining it so nicely.
So we do have a follow-up question to the how long the presentation slides should be. Can it include high-level setup screenshots or setup tips?
Absolutely. Now remember, when you submit your paper and abstract to the call for papers, you really are only giving us a title of the presentation, an abstract, which is a 3 to 4 sentence description about what you're going to cover, and at least 3 learning objectives for what you try to get people to learn during your session. The actual development of the slides doesn't occur until after you've been notified that your presentation has been accepted. So at that time, if someone, if you submit a paper and it is in regards to how to set up or configure certain features, then most definitely screen prints about your configuration or anything that kind of shows or describes what it is you're trying to convey are completely appropriate for your presentation. Now, that being said, the OAUG does not have an instance, unfortunately, that you can use to configure and take those screen prints. You would have to take those screen prints from either a Vision environment or from your own environment with data masked.
Wonderful. Thanks for that answer. So we do have another question here. What level Oracle user should our presentation address?
Actually, I can take that as a question. It can be, at the conference we have sessions which are geared towards new application users. Then there are geared towards more like people who have 2 to 4 years experience already. And then there are the much experienced ones. So there are different categories of sessions. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, depending on what you want to present and what kind of audience you're looking for. Like if it is for somebody who just joined Oracle Apps or started using Oracle applications, for them you want to do some like one-on-one sessions or something like that. That is very introductory level, but it helps that category of users. We would appreciate that. So we basically welcome different experience level of presenters to gear their topic and presentation towards, again, the audience, which might be newbies into Oracle applications or already used it for a few years, and then much more advanced users.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe when you're submitting your paper idea, your presentation abstract and title, you also have the opportunity to identify what audiences might be most interested in your topic. And there is a place there for, I think, level of experience, right? People who are newer or people who are experienced, and then I believe also certain job titles that you can target.
Correct. Thank you, Melissa.
My pleasure.
Great. So as a reminder, if you do have questions, feel free to type them into the questions box in your control panel, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you. And as the slide says, if you have any questions outside of today, you can email me, Patrick Merkel, at the Education Manager, and the email listed on the screen, and happy to help answer all the questions. So the question is where do I apply? You can apply on the collaborate.oaug.org website. I'll go ahead and pull that up here in just a second. So please bear with me one here. All right, so let's do this. All right, so you should be able to see the screen now at the collaborate.org, collaborate.oaug.org website under Presenter Info. And under the Presenter Info, there's a bunch of information regarding how to present, as well as our wish list. The wish list is a full PDF of all of the different topics that we are recommending that you present, or that we would like to see, I apologize. So as you can see, we have down here in bullets under application upgrades, these are the different topics that we would like for you to see and to present. And so any additional questions? All right, is my conference registration free if I am selected? As an accepted presenter, you do get a complimentary registration, and that does only apply for the primary presenter. So if you are looking to present with a co-presenter, you will need to ensure that whoever is the primary presenter that's listed will be the person that gets that registration.
You know, Patrick, that's actually a good kind of segue or time to talk about the idea of user presentations. So one of the things that we've heard repeatedly over the past 5 or 6 years from people attending the conferences, that they want to hear more from users, people who have the actual experience. We do, in general, receive an overwhelming number of papers from our partners and folks who are implementers, and sometimes it's easier for them to talk about a topic because they have multiple clients and they are able to come at a topic with multiple perspectives. But again, we have heard repeatedly over and over is that people want to hear more from users. And as a result, we have traditionally been accepting a much higher level of, or much higher percentage of the papers that are submitted by users. So if you are a user of Oracle applications and you're thinking about submitting a paper, I strongly encourage you to do that. If you need someone to help you brainstorm topics, or to proofread your abstract, or to help you and you are a user, I will offer up my services. You can reach out to me through Patrick. Or I would encourage you, if you do have an implementation partner, I would encourage you to reach out to your implementation partner and ask them to support you in submitting a paper. One of the things we do at my organization is that during the call for papers, we reach out to our customers and we ask them to please join us in submitting papers. And then we help walk them through that paper submission process, and at the end we help them to deliver the paper, to build the presentation, to build the white paper. And this has been very highly successful because we want to see our customers presenting their ideas and learning and growing and supporting the user community. It's a passion for us. And by putting our users in the primary seat, helping them obtain a free conference registration, we're really demonstrating a true partnership with our customers. That's our philosophy, but I would encourage all of you to pursue similar opportunities to either co-present or as a user organization to really strongly try to submit some paper topic ideas this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melissa. So for those, again, if you do have questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A box or the questions box in your control panel, or you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. We do have a question. Can you review the key deadlines? All right, so let's go back to our presentation here. So our key deadlines for everyone is...
We lost you, Patrick.
Ah, there we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Sorry about that, everyone. The key deadlines are November 6th for the call for presentations closes, and then the week of November 30th, we will notify all of the accepted as well as declined speakers via email. And then for any presentations that are accepted, we would ask and are requiring that you submit by the week of February 29th your final presentation. So as Melissa mentioned, we do review to ensure that the content does meet your objectives for your presentation. And then from there, you'd be able to present in April.
Excellent. I have a question for Kaberi. You're welcome, yep. Kaberi. Is it a good idea for me to wait until November 5th to submit my paper to the paper engine?
No. That's why we repeated that submit early. So right now the paper submission is open. Any day you can submit. Please do not wait till the 5th November because you might have issues of trying to submit, because a lot of people try to do it last minute even though they should be doing it earlier, and you don't want to get caught in that problem that I could not submit because I tried doing it on November 6th.
That is true. And I'll also point out that if you submit early, we do a process where we try to review the paper submissions that are coming in, and we try to make sure that they're put into the correct track. So when you submit your paper, you're going to pick which track you think it applies to the most, a primary track and a secondary track. And what we do is we try to validate that your paper has been submitted in the correct track so that it can be considered by the right paper selection team. So as Patrick spoke about our process, our paper selection teams are made up of members of the GeoSig community, as well as the Education Committee and some other committees internal to the OAUG. As a part of that process, they actually kind of pull a list of the 2,000 papers that may apply in their particular area for particular applications, for particular Oracle products, for particular industries, or in a particular track. So for example, financials is a track. And so in order for your paper to be considered, it really needs to be put into the correct track. If you submit your paper before November 2nd, the chance that we'll get to review your paper and make sure it's in the right track is very high. If you submit your paper on the 5th or 6th, the chance that we'll have an opportunity to review that track selection and ensure that it's correct are probably pretty low because voting opens the following Monday for papers. So we just want everybody to have as much opportunity as possible for their paper to be considered.
Correct.
And as a reminder, the Collaborate 16 is going to be in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Hotel on April 10th through the 14th of 2016. If you do have additional questions or you want to see more information about Collaborate, you can visit the collaborate.oaug.org website, and further information will be available. And registration for everyone is going to open up mid-November, so we will be in touch. So if you haven't participated or want to sign up for our email list, again, go to our collaborate.oaug.org website, and more information that can be found there. All right, so we do have a question here. Is there a place to view previous submissions to get a feel for the content? Unfortunately, there's not a specific spot for the submissions, but you can view all of the prior submissions and prior accepted presentations for Collaborate years on the OAUG.org website under the conference paper database. You can also search through our website, and you can get a little bit better idea of what has been presented and accepted. Again, that's under the OAUG.org website under the Education tab and the Conference Paper Database.
Patrick, is there a link anywhere to the 2015 either schedule builder or externalized content where they might be able to kind of peruse the abstracts, the titles and abstracts, instead of looking at the actual finished content?
There is a spot. I will pull that up here, so give me just 1 second. So you should be able to see the collaborate.org website. So under the Education tab, if you click Education, this gives you a full list of what we're looking for, a link to our call for presentation papers, and then we do have a link to the 2015 session catalog. So I'll pull that up.
Now that is available only to the OAUG members, correct?
It is actually open to everybody. So anybody's able to see and pull a list of what was accepted and presented last year.
Okay, thank you.
So this is actually a good way to look through and see which paper titles and abstracts were accepted so that you have an idea of how to word your abstracts, what kind of level of information to include, because these submissions, these papers that you see here are the ones that were selected through last year's call for papers. So that's, I think, would be very helpful if you're really looking for some advice on how to present. Certainly don't copy word for word, that would be plagiarism. But if you're looking for some idea of how to present your topic or idea, this is a great place to go.
And as a reminder, for those that are reviewing under the conference paper database, you are able to see the title, the abstract, and the presenter information, but not the actual presentations. Those are specific and only available to the OAUG members. So if you are interested, the link that I have up here under mapmyshow.com is going to be the best way for you to review and take a look at what was presented, the abstracts, get a little bit more details about that event, about that session. All right, do we have any further questions? All right, let's see. Sorry, hold on 1 second here. There we go. All right, are you guys able to see my screen at all? There we go.
Yep.
Hopefully you should be able to screen. Okay. So from here, you should now be able to see the where you can view it.
Right, so for example, if you select OAUG as the user group and then search, you'll see all of the presentations that were submitted to OAUG and selected as a part of the 2015 session. Now, if you wanted to click, these are all the titles in the third column here, and if you wanted to click on one, so say, pick one, Oracle eBusiness Tax, proactively managing compliance risks using task rules, you can see then the abstract is only really a sentence or two long, and then the objectives lay out exactly what people are going to learn from this session. And so this is an example of a topic that was selected last year. But you can, as you scroll through kind of the list, you'll see that there are a lot of presentations with catchy titles, eye-catching titles, or things that are creative. Those do tend to go over very well with audiences because they're less boring.
Wonderful. And as well, it does show the different user groups, but it does show by different speakers. So you can set some search filters. If you're looking for a specific track, you can specify a specific track. But please be aware that the tracks for this year have changed slightly to be more in line with our goals. So, but you can see, what we had presented by tracks last year, as well as the different categories and subcategories and product lines. Right. So we do have another question here. How do we get to the session scheduler page again? All right. So if you actually go to the collaborate.oag.org/education page, just like up here, you'll be able to scroll down to the middle, and it actually will be right here, the 2015 sessions catalog. And while you're on, would recommend that you do click the present tab. That does have a lot of information of what we're looking for, the requirements, you know, our wish list, the different tracks. So there's a lot of information on here that we do recommend you to give out. And what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and in our chat, I'm going to send everyone the actual direct link to the Map Your Show catalog, so you can see what was presented last year. So do we have any additional questions this time? All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for attending today's session. We do appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and put up. So for those that are, oh, there we go.
Yep.
Sorry about that. All right. So if you do have questions moving forward, please feel free to email me, Patrick Merkel, at the email listed on the screen, and I'll be more than happy to help direct you or at least answer your questions. So, but we do appreciate everyone. Melissa Kaberi, thank you for joining today and giving your thoughts on how to present and submit for Collaborate 16.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see you all at Collaborate 16.
Thanks so much, and everyone have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.